Good morning and welcome to Share Talk. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Greg Kuenzel, who is the Managing Director at Georgian Mining. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Stephen. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Good.
Last time we spoke was in relation to the Kvemo Bolnisi project, and obviously you've now completed some sort of drill work there on the east of the project, on the East Gold discovery as you're now titling it. Could you tell us further about that resource that you've got there, please?
Yeah, look, as you know, the company's we have a large license area, 860 square kilometres in Georgia. We are currently focused on one particular target, though, and that's Kvemo Bolnisi East, or KB for short. We've been working on KB for about 9 months now. As you mentioned, we released back in mid-February the first 3 holes of a 10,000 metre drill program focused on the copper sulfides, or what we're referring to as Copper Zone 1 at KB East. I mean, those 3 holes, 2 of them came back with some fantastic intercepts. One KED 11, 114 metres at 1.7% copper from very close to surface, from 18 metres. Another one, 28.6 metres at 1.6% copper, again from 47 metres. The work program's continuing on that copper sulfide zone. There's an additional 20 drill holes that have been completed, and we're just waiting for the final results to come back from the lab over the next couple of weeks. So those results will be coming out shortly. They'll also go to upgrade the initial resource that we announced earlier in the year as well, of just under 1 million tonnes at just below 1% copper. We're confident that'll be a material increase in not only the total tonnages, but also the grade on that copper sulfide deposit. We're currently working towards an overall resource target of 3 to 5 million tonnes on the copper. But given we've got access to our local partners' processing plant, float plant at the Madnuli mine, which is only 7 kilometres away, we're working on an initial 2 million tonne resource that will see us be able to go into production in a very short period of time, given the excess capacity that's available in that plant. So things are going according to plan, according to budget on the copper sulfides, and we look forward to, in the next few weeks, being able to update the market on the additional drill holes, and also after that the upgrade on the resource. In the meantime, we've also been working on an area that we've now named Gold Zone 2, which is just to the north of the copper sulfides. The mineralisation in this area is typically what you find, or what we have been finding, is these gold oxide caps that tend to sit on top of the copper sulfides. And this was, if we look back at last year, it was the gold oxide zone 1 that initially led us to discover the larger copper sulfide body sitting underneath that. We'd done some work on outcropping gold mineralization, and discovered what we've referred to as a gold cap that occurs from surface down to around 5 to 10 meters. The drilling that was done around that later last year then identified this deeper copper sulfide mineralization. But as part of our general exploration program, we've also been doing further channel sampling and work around the KB area. And it was that work that identified the Gold Zone 2. Now, we did a couple kilometres of trenching and rock samples. We followed that up with some short drill holes. The results from the trenching gave some very encouraging gold grades, including 100 metres at 1.2 grams per tonne, 24 metres at 3. What we've subsequently discovered, having drilled these short 20-metre holes, is every time we saw mineralisation at surface, it extended further beneath the surface. So we decided to do a short drill program down to 20 meters. We've done 7 holes. We released those results on Monday. We got some very, very encouraging results, including 20 meters at 2.2 grams per ton from surface, 14 at 2 from 5, 12 meters at 1.3 from 8, another 20 meters at 0.7 from surface. Now, the most important thing to note here is that most of those holes ended in mineralization, and it's also open in all directions. So this is very exciting for us, because instead of a small sort of 5 to 10 meter cap, we are now working on a model that sort of seems to indicate that this gold mineralization extends even deeper than 20 meters. So instead of Gold Zone 1, where we identified something that was relatively small, but given the access to our partner's heap leach and the ability to mine it with minimal stripping and no capex or infrastructure, it still presented a good small production opportunity. What we appear to be dealing with at Gold Zone 2 is something significantly larger. I mean, it's important to note that in those drill samples, we got some high peak intercepts of up to 82 grams per ton, a few 7s and a 6. So we're also dealing with some very high grade gold mineralization there. So as a result of that, we've decided to expand the work on Gold Zone 2. We are currently drilling some deeper incline holes to get a better understanding of the structure of the mineralization and the ore body. We are planning to do another 20 to 30 short holes, which will go to drive an initial resource at Gold Zone 2. And again, given the grade we're dealing with, the fact that the mineralization occurs at surface, down to 20 meters currently, but we're confident it could extend much deeper than that. This could be a very, very exciting standalone gold deposit that, again, given the proximity to the heap leach, we could look at putting into production in a very, very short period of time.
What are the standout sort of things for you then of working in this region and hopefully getting into sort of near-term production? Is there any sort of obstacles that you need to overcome?
No, look, we already have a mining license, which I think is obviously very important. We have all the permits in place that are required to go into mining. I think the key fact that differentiates this company from others at our stage is we have access to the plant and infrastructure. We have an operating copper gold mine, the Madnuli mine, 7 kilometers away. Now, one of the exciting things for us is that mine has produced around 80 million tons over the past 40 years, grading 1 gram gold and 1% copper on average. It's a large open pit. They're currently 550 meters down in that pit. And the more work we do at KB, the more similarities we're seeing between Kvemo Bolnisi and Madnuli. Madnuli started off as a gold oxide, and then they continued to mine that, and then ultimately got into the copper oxides and the copper sulfides sitting under that. And it's the similarities with Madnuli that have led us to put an overall exploration target on KB of 50 million tons plus, because we think there's a very, very high probability that KB could be another Madnuli. So, although we're now focused on the smaller resource targets, they've been the focus simply because we can look at putting those into production very quickly. We can start generating cash flow to help fund the additional development and exploration. But ultimately, we feel confident that we could be dealing with another Madnuli here. So there's a potential to have a very, very sizable project on our hands. Obviously, the access to the plant and the infrastructure really makes this a standout. As I said, it minimises the capex and infrastructure that's going to be required to get this into production. It reduces the time frame, So we're able to accelerate this. And again, I think the other important thing to note is KB is only one of a number of targets we have within the overall license. We've got several other targets that we believe have the potential to be as good, as large, if not larger. So that ultimately there's a lot of exploration and development work to do here. But if we can get this first project into production, it cements the relationship with our local partner, it generates cash flow, and it's a huge step as far as lifting the company's credibility.
Obviously, you've just touched on the sort of additional target areas. Referring back to around about a year ago, I believe you had 17 targets.
Yep.
That have been sort of identified, and thus far you have done work on 3 or 4.
Yeah, we had a huge, it's a big license area, and we had a lot of. Sorry?
I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and there's also been a lot of historic work done. I mean, we look back at the work done by the Russians in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. There's over 300,000 meters of drilling. So when we first got involved with this, we had to it took us a good 12 months to reinterpret all that historic data and to prioritize our targets. Because, as you mentioned, 17 targets, the majority of those had some historic work undertaken on them. Small company, limited resources, we need to make sure we were focused on a project that could deliver and create shareholder value quite quickly in the short term. But we, having done some work on 3 or 4 of those targets, we decided to focus on Kvemo Bolnisi. But a couple of the others that we did work on last year, Sapeli, I mean, that's still a priority for us. Sapeli is a very exciting target. It's mineralization that's very similar to Hot Maden style mineralization, Mariana Resources, just across the border in Turkey. We've done some geophysics there. We did a large IP program. We've done some drilling. It's an area we'd like to come back to. But, this will be after we progress KB through to production. Another target that we're very keen to get working on is Dambludka. It's an area that had been mined historically. It's 8 kilometers south of Madnuli mine. We've done some working there. We did some trenching. We were getting copper results, 30 meters at 1% copper. We were getting grab samples up in several ounces of gold. So again, a lot of very, very exciting targets within the exploration area. But coming back to my point before, we need to be focused at this point on achieving a sort of a set short-term goal, which we've targeted Kvemo Bolnisi.
And we look forward to obviously covering the news flow as and when that goes into production, and hopefully talk to you about sort of the mid and longer term goals and aims of exploration and development there, Greg.
Yeah, excellent. Well, look, as over the next few months, then there will be a significant amount of news flow. We'll, as I said initially, we'll have the remainder of the holes drilled to date on the copper. We'll have the upgrade of the copper resource. We'll have the additional gold holes, which is now looking about another 30 drill holes. We'll have the gold resource on Gold Zone 2, and then obviously all of the details going into the production. So it should be a very exciting 3 to 6 months.
Greg, it's been a pleasure speaking to you as always, and look forward to reporting on the news in the near future.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for your time, Stephen.
Not a problem, Greg. Pleasure as always. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks.